Well, welcome everybody to the Comm Consultancy Volunteer Info Session. Just so you all are aware, this first portion of the meeting will be recorded while I'm kind of talking through the information, and then when our volunteers and all of you ask questions, we'll stop the recording. The recording will be available after the session, and you'll get an email with kind of a recap that'll include the link to the recording. So yeah, let's get started. We'll start by introducing ourselves. My name is Hannah Wheeler. I am the Outreach and Development Coordinator at the Comm Consultancy, which means I spend a lot of my time working with the volunteers, yourselves potentially, and making sure that your needs are being met as well as our clients' needs. I'm also a student in CommLead, and I am cohort 19.
I can go next. Hi everyone, I'm Stacy. There we go, perfect. Welcome, happy Friday. Yeah, what better to do on this wonderful Friday than to talk about opportunities to grow and learn. So welcome. So currently I'm serving as client development. That means that I am connecting with the client, setting up the appointments. We do intake appointments, consulting appointments alongside Susan, and we just basically understand their needs and then identify how we can help them, and then that's how we get connected to Hannah to then connect the volunteer depending on what the client's needs are. So I am here to support you if you have any questions. If you do have a small business or you know someone that does, please ask them to fill out our intake form. We are taking new clients. Thank you. Pass the ball over to Susan.
Thanks, Stacy. My name is Susan McLaren. I am the creative director of COVID Consulting, and my role is the lead consultant. So ultimately, once Stacy sort of schedules the meetings and we hear from people on the form, then I will do research on the client to try and give more information about what their particular communications challenge is. And we usually provide information during the consultation that helps empower them in whatever their challenge is. But then we also, of course, pair them with really great volunteers like you guys. And the sorts of clients that we get are all over the place. We do small businesses, we do nonprofits, we do university departments. We sort of span the gamut. And I think the really interesting and exciting thing about the consultancy and the work that we're doing, not just within our team, but also with your awesome help as volunteers, is really providing communications support for small businesses and organizations, particularly now during the pandemic, but even beyond. Like, we plan on existing for a while, hopefully. So the thrill is that you get something really cool out of it, we get something really cool out of it, and the client gets something really cool out of it. And so it's a really good opportunity to expand your skills and learn and network with us and other people in the CommLead community.
Okay, I'll go next. I'm Evelyn Cole. I serve as the event curator at the not COVID anymore, but CommLead Consultancy. And my main job is to create events specifically for our comm leaders and our clients. And at the same time, I also consult with our clients with their virtual event planning needs. So I help with different UW departments and small businesses and nonprofits for their fundraising events and any other virtual events. I also coordinate with Hannah to communicate with our volunteers as well. So we plan upcoming volunteer celebration event in November. So hope to see you guys soon again. And yeah, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about volunteering. And I'll pass it to Mo.
Hi, everybody. I actually need to spotlight myself, which is part of my role as video production and consulting member of the team. So part of that is offering video production support to our clients, and another portion of that is doing sort of event support. For example, during events like this, I will help record the event, spotlight the speakers, and make sure it runs smoothly in terms of preventing Zoom bombing and other technical difficulties. And I will pass that to Ryan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Kukhtar. I'm in cohort 18 within Comm Lead in the MCCN track. I come to you as the business outreach person within our consultancy team. Been on the team since we first started, and yeah, excited to be here. My role kind of involves, obviously, as it says, outreach. So coordinating, with different businesses, primarily had been nonprofits, and even some foundations, along with what Stacy and Susan said. So we are open, we're accepting new folks. So if you have anyone, please feel free to recommend. One thing we have said though, just want to make sure this is mentioned now and we can talk more about it, is we are trying to prioritize BIPOC-led businesses and nonprofits. That's one of the reasons we came together in the beginning. So I just want to make sure that was mentioned too.
Awesome. Thank you everybody for sharing. Next, we're going to dive into some of the details about what you need to know to be a volunteer. And please feel free, we'll do a Q&A session at the end, but if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them as they come up as well, if they're related to whatever I'm talking about. So some things to consider to help you make your decision when it comes to volunteering is the time commitment. We ask that our volunteers commit to between 5 and 7 hours per week for the duration of their project. Usually projects, at least historically, we've seen them last around 1 to 3 months, but obviously how long your project is really going to depend on what the business or nonprofit that you're working for needs from you. We also, at the beginning of every project, make sure that the time commitment is clear between clients and volunteers so that when that time comes to an end, you have the opportunity to step away from the project if you feel like you're finished, or sometimes there are opportunities to continue working with these organizations after your initial project. Another thing to consider is what skills do you want to offer to our organizations? We have all kinds of need for a variety of skills, including UX design, video editing, virtual event planning, marketing plans, strategic planning, that sort of thing. So really what you should ask yourself is, what are you interested in getting more experience in? So just because you can design a website, if that's not something that you're interested in offering to our clients, make sure that your interests are aligning with the skills that you want to share. Additionally, we are accepting volunteers of all levels of experience. Just communicate to us what your level of experience is with the variety of skills that you're offering. If you do have less experience in something, but you want to gain more experience, we might pair you with a volunteer who does have more experience to kind of help you with your projects. And then on the flip side of that, if you're somebody who has a lot of experience in one area and is interested in mentoring another volunteer on a project or helping, let us know, because we would love to keep an eye out for folks like that. International students are also welcome to apply. We have helped out with writing OPT letters and things like that before. So yeah, just know that. The application process itself is pretty simple. We have like a Google form that you can fill out. We'll have a link to it at the end of this presentation. It's also available on our website, which is consulting.commlead@uw.edu. So you can go there and fill out that form. It'll ask you your name, your contact information, the skills that we just talked about, and it will ask for like a LinkedIn profile or a resume or some kind of portfolio, just so that we can see the work that you've done and get a better idea of where your skills are, so that we can best pair you with one of our clients. And then we will connect with you. And when a project arises, we will reach out and see if you're interested. You're always welcome to say yes or no to any projects. There's no pressure to do so. We know people's availability changes all the time, so we'll definitely check in with you on that periodically. And if you say yes, then we will connect you with the client in an initial meeting where we will go over all of the details of the project together to make sure everybody's on the same page before we start the project. And finally, we will ask you to track your volunteer hours just so that we can get a better idea of how many hours our volunteers are spending on their projects, as well as completing a final project report, which will kind of wrap everything up for you. Does anybody have any questions about that very long speech I just gave? No, cool. All right. For anyone who has volunteered with us before, welcome back. We're excited to share some changes that we've made to our process based on some feedback that we've received. I've kind of mentioned all these things a little bit, but I'll talk about them in a little bit more detail. We've set up some documentation, that being the initial project scope form, which will line out the details of the project, what the deliverable is, what the client is expecting from you, and the time commitment, which is kind of the big piece that we were missing before. So making sure everybody's on the same page about when the project is starting and when it's finishing, so that you, again, have the opportunity to step away from that project if you feel finished. And if you want to continue working with the client and you have the opportunity to do that, then you can totally do that as well. Additionally, we have a volunteer hour tracking form, which is basically just you telling us how many hours you're actually working on the project. And then we'll compare that to the initial project scope and kind of use that just for our information to better judge how long these projects are actually taking. And then the final project report is kind of a reflection of that initial scope form. It really just gives you an opportunity to show us the deliverable if you have one, so that we can have a copy of that and see what amazing work our volunteers are doing. It also reflects on that timeline to make sure. So if you said you were going to work 20 hours, but you actually worked 40, then that's documented somewhere, again, for our information. The other piece is that instead of just connecting our volunteers and our clients via email, we are now setting up a Zoom meeting with either myself, Susan, both of us, as well as the client and our volunteers, so that we can all talk together through this document, the initial project scope form, to make sure everyone is on the same page. Yeah. Any questions about that? Oh, and if you are a current volunteer, I sent an email out about a week ago asking for updated availability. So if you haven't given me your updated availability yet, please do so. My email is on the screen. I'll leave it up there for a second just to let me know when you're available. So why volunteer? This is a short list that I came up myself based on my experience with the consultancy. And you first of all get hands-on experience with a client. So I know in a lot of Comm Lead classes, we work with clients in our classes, which is one of the most amazing things about the Comm Lead program. This is another opportunity to do that, as well as help small businesses during this challenging time. A lot of small organizations and nonprofits haven't had to think about communicating digitally as much, but now it's kind of the way that we're all doing that. So there's definitely a lot of people who need help out there, which is great. Depending on the project, you'll end up with a deliverable for your portfolio, which is really exciting. We try to give the expectations to our clients that they should be willing to share their deliverable with you or potentially give a recommendation to you on LinkedIn, just so that both you and the client are getting what they need out of this experience. And then networking within Comm Lead is also something that I at least have experienced working with a consultancy. You get to meet other volunteers and us and potentially your departments. So that's been a really great experience as well. If any of my other, or I guess later when our volunteers share their stories, I'm sure they'll have more to say on this topic as well. This is some of our clients. So we have had probably more than this now. This graphic was made at the beginning of fall quarter, but 80 clients, 21 are small businesses, 7 UW departments, and 52 nonprofits. And on the right side of your screen, you'll see some of the clients that we have worked with, Helping Link, RVC, Restart Partners, Boona Boona Coffee, Music Partners, all kinds of different organizations and businesses. So there's definitely organizations that will be interesting to you. There's so many different types of organizations that we work with that there will definitely be opportunities to work with all different kinds of organizations, like I said. So yeah, we like to also collect some quotes from our volunteers. There are a few that we have pulled from our website, just to show that it's a great experience and everyone should do it.